Mobile Suit Gundam. A series that initially wasn't popular and then skyrocketed in its popularity right after it was going to end. And boy howdy how popular it got. So with a show that got its popularity as it did, of course they had to produce toys. And Clover got to making them. They made some toys, put them out to sell, and they weren't popular. It was only until another company by the name of Bandai obtained the rights to produce models for the show and, well, the results show for themselves. Gundam, while known for their shows, are widely known for their impressive model kits and their variety of them. They got big ones, medium, and small ones. The main appeal to them, I say, is their insane engineering that makes them bend and move and are able to get them into a pose of your desire and set them on a shelf to present anyone who comes across them. The production of Gunpla has been going on for around 44 years as of making this video. We have essentially seen the evolution of their engineering unfold from the very beginning of the 144 RX-782 Gundam to the wonders of the PGU RX-782. But I'm forgetting something here. While everything I'm talking about is very impressive, there's one small thing I forgot to mention. The consumer that build these. While the process of building these kits is a joy, some people go and take a step beyond and customize these, putting their creativity into full use and showing how they can transform these kits into something beautiful. And the results? Well, the process of customizing your kit has always been around since the very beginning. The first model that was ever released, the 144 I talked about earlier, had to be painted to make it look more like the one from the show. So it was always incentivized from the very beginning by Bandai to go, hey, paint the dang thing. Your imagination and skills are your limit. And also tools. There are many methods out there for achieving what you want to do with your kit, like panel lining, painting, airbrushing, custom items. All of these processes have a variety of tools that bring out similar yet different results. For instance, there are many different types of paints out there in the world, obviously, but for like miniatures and model kits, people tend to use paints from Tayama, Citadel, and Mr. Hobby. The latter of which partnered with Bandai to release the Gundam markers and panel lining kits to make it easier for the people who don't have the necessary tools or have the space for normal paints to start customizing them. This hobby that people started to take on evolved during the years alongside the evolution of Gunpla. While there were scale-based kits, Bandai never had the system that we have today. It was only until 1990 that they made the high-grade HG for short series. Later on, they made the master grade line in 95, which is known for its insane interframing detailing. Perfect grade in 98, 97 if you don't count the EVA kits. And finally, the one with the most hype and troubled from the very beginning, the real grade in 2010. There are also the SD Gundam kits that are meant to be chibi-like and have the strangest kit, but they don't exist to me, so we can just ignore them. So, why was the real grade the most hyped yet troubled? Well, for those who don't build Gunpla or haven't built a kit from the early 2000s and backwards, while Gunpla are fun to build, they sometimes can, well, it's a thing that I like to call the early grade syndrome. Some kits from the early times tend to feel brittle with the plastic and even some parts that are made from rubber. Even when you built them and everything does feel sturdy, later on the parts can begin to weaken and won't be able to hold the same pose that they used to before. There are some ways you can in quotes restore their abilities. The method I use that can be controversial is applying a thin layer of super glue around the connector, wait for it to harden, and that normally makes the joint more stiff. Don't get me wrong, there are some standout kits from the before times like the 2.0 Zeta kits from 2008, the Zeta kit itself being considered the king of master grades, but most of the times the kits can be moderately appalling to build and a hassle to pose up when you're done putting them together. Setting that ramble aside, the concept of the real grade is the complexity of the inner frame of a master grade shrunk down to the 144 scale of a high grade. So with all that detailing in that small of a body, you can probably see where this is going. The first of the real grades, the RX-78, while no apparent issues, it does have that early grade syndrome where the rubber parts get to feel really flimsy on later in life. But for kits after that, like the Zeta, well... yeah, most of the real great kits kinda go kaboom if you're not super careful with them. Oh, what's that? The kit fell on its own? Ah, you're trying to put its weapon on its hand? Huh? You were trying to put two parts together and attach the kit to its body? It's safe to say while the engineering was a marvel in itself, they just didn't really nail the material or how everything fits together. All the other lines are fine, it was just the real grade having its issues, but all of that started to change until 2018 with the Sazabi. And then later in 2019, the new Gundam, alongside with its counterpart in 2021, the High New Gundam, which are considered to be the three RG gods of Gunpla. So while the jank everyone got to experience through the evolution of these kits throughout the years, the people who were customizing Gunpla mostly stayed underground in blog forums. But then humanity changed, for you see, the internet got better, and people started uploading their creations to the internet. The earliest upload I could find of any type of customizable Gunpla was this video. Yeah. Someone in 2007 decided to re-upload an official Bandai building tutorial that goes into how to build, file, panel line, weathering, and applying stickers. Surprisingly very useful information.
Welcome to an introductory lesson in building Gunpla model kits.
After that, most early stuff that I could find is around the early 2010s. That's where most of the well-known Gunpla builders at the time and reviewers have also started, like Mecha Gaikotsu, EA Gunpla, Jabi the Hong, and Zaku Aurelius. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of your names. If I did, Kiryu Kazuma clap. Very few did actually upload tutorials of what their process or tips were, but slowly and surely did they start coming. Especially over in Japan. You can tell how passionate people have for this hobby by the production of all these videos and expressing their creativity. With so many of these people creating, customizing, and basically creating dioramas, people will wonder, I wonder if there's a competitive side of things. And, well, remember the first video I showed you? The guy uploading this Bandai Bakuk tutorial? Well, Bakuk isn't one word. As much as I want it to be, it's not. It's actually an acronym, and it stands for Bandai Action Kits Universal Cup, also known as Bandai Builders World Cup. And what kind of creations do people make for this event? Well, let me show you. These events, hosted by Bandai, started back in 2003. The circuit was only in Asian countries. Not much is documented about these events that I can find. However, there is a website that does document the winners at the time from 2003 and 2004 as seen on screen right now. Later in 2007, America and Italy joined the fray with a name change from Asian Cup to Universal Cup. Then finally into World's Cup when Australia hopped into the ring as well. The rules for these competitions are normally: you must only use official Gunpla kits, make sure to document what parts you've used in your kits, dioramas are okay to use, just don't add any third-party items, tools to add on to the kits such as claw plates, putties, and other kits are allowed. They may add some rules from time to time, like when the lockdown happened, they added rules for how to submit photos and how big the pixel size can be, and as well how big your display can be. With these rules in place, people start building, putting all of their artistry and creative skills to the test and presenting what they have made to the masses and having their pieces judged and seeing them in all of their glory is a treat to behold. Looking back at all of these kits, my favorite one out of all of the tournament submissions is the winner of the 10th World Cup, Manson Ing, with his entry, Fragments of a Star, that being a 1/160th Gelgoog piece with Alasun coming out from it. And lucky for all of us, we got insights of what he does while creating, with him being interviewed sometime after the tournament was over. With this interview, when asked what the main point of the theme of the piece is, he states that, I created this piece with the question of, how can I incorporate the theme of love into the model in mind? Another theme was that I wanted to use Char's Gelgoog when thinking of how I could possibly fuse these two things. I was reminded of the scene in Mobile Suit Gundam when Lala Soon sacrifices herself to save Char Aznable. By recreating this scene with my models, I was able to portray an intense sense of love being lost for love. He had this idea back in 2019, but since, well, you know what was happening in the world. The tournament was postponed for 2 years, and when it started back up, it was all online. With the new format of how to submit, he did struggle at first with this new format, but lo and behold, he became champion nonetheless. It's always interesting seeing what people can build and create with just one model kit and some tools at their disposal. I've always been a normal builder of these kits since the possibility of breaking a kit always scared me, but while creating this video, reading Manson's interview, he was asked to give a message for all Gunpla fans, and he said, "Gunpla is a freedom. After gaining a certain level of skill, I want you to think about how you can make people happy with your creations. Once you've gained skill, people tend to pursue more detail and density in their creations. However, there are a lot of builders who have the same skill, so it's important to use an original idea and try to create a never-before-seen creation that leaves a deep impression. It isn't easy, but I want you to think of how to add originality to your work while making it a goal to create something that people will never be able to forget." This message made me realize something, and why I'm here on Slime Station. Slime Station is a channel made by two of my closest friends that decided to rope me into making videos with them because of a musical rant video I made for the both of them. If you watched their previous videos before this one, you know that they're making videos to gush about what they like and in hopes of finding people who share their interests as well. That goes for me as well, but another reason why I joined Slime Station was to be able to become creative again. I've always worked on numerous online projects before, and for a long while, I've thought I lost my drive of curiosity and with that, my hunger to be creative. But after reading this interview and with the help of my co-hosts, it helped me realize that my compass of curiosity is still pointing in a direction. So, with that pre-ramble out of the way, I decided to face my fears and actually make a custom Gunpla. So, I grabbed this model kit a good friend of mine gifted me for my birthday, bought a few tools, spent a couple of days formulating an idea, and this is the result. I like to call this piece the Champion of Love. It took me a morning to build the parts I needed, and the rest of the day trying to figure out what the hell was going on and putting everything together. My friends can vouch for me about all the noises I was making while putting this thing together, and as soon as I carefully put everything together, the first thing I did to celebrate was to immediately drop it. Thankfully, it survived, and now it lives on my desk for me to look at and to think, I was able to make this. So, where will my compass point me now? If you are a builder of Gunpla, a model kit builder, or a creative in general and always had an idea for something but didn't in fear of failing, just go for it. The only thing that is limiting you from pursuing an idea of creation is only you, yourself. This has been Lounge waiting at Slime Station, and I'll see you at the next stop.